After a little overnighter adventure around the largest Channel island, that is Jersey, which turned into me getting stranded on the island for over a week due to storms and strikes as the ferries were not running, I was finally able to get off the island and head to my next destination, Saint-Malo in France, ready for a 260 mile or 418 kilometre bikepacking adventure through the French countryside to the capital, Paris. Finally, we're in France. Remember, cycle on the right. As the first ferry I could get off of Jersey was a late one, I'd arrive in Saint-Malo in the dark and I would need to go and find somewhere to pitch my tent late at night. Right, today I'm waking up and I'm in France because we are on the way to Paris. It's about 260 miles from Saint-Malo and it's a very cold morning, it was a very cold night, but the sun is starting to rise and it is in the sky, a little bit overcast, but it should be a fun little trip. Now all the storms have subsided and get some French gravel. On to Paris we go. Let's go. I'd be waking up this morning on French soil, which is always exciting, knowing I will be pedaling my way through new exciting terrain. And as the sun was starting to rise this morning, I would be heading over to the coastline, where I would follow the coastal path, stumbling across this chapel that is dedicated to Saint Anne, invoked here to ensure the protection of the marshes against the invasion of the tide. But the real showstopper is a little further along this coastline, Mont Saint-Michel, set in a mesmerising bay shared by Normandy and Brittany, visited by more than 3 million people each year, and it is the most visited tourist attraction in France outside of Paris, and it's clear to see why. It is so bitterly cold out here this morning. It's like 2 degrees, but there's this very gradual, it's not hard to ride into, but the wind is just, it's in my face and it's really cold. But making good progress. I'm going to start moving away from the coastline in a minute, so hopefully as I head a bit more inland I get out of this breeze, this bitterly cold breeze. Oh, because I tell you, my face is frozen. Nice though, it's not raining and it's fun. It's good to be back on the bike after a week stuck in Jersey. Alright, inland we go. I'm going to try and find something to eat as well. Getting a bit hungry. It's currently 11:30. I didn't wake up until like 9 o'clock this morning because I didn't get to camp until like midnight, 1 o'clock. Alright, let's go find some food. Leaving Mont Saint-Michel behind, I would continue pedalling along the marshy coastline, trying to keep on pedaling just to keep warm, with a brief stop for some remaining British food that I had left in my bag. I'm sure this will be the last time I'll be able to find pasties for this trip. Cycle lanes, cycle lanes, cycle lanes everywhere. England, what are you playing at? I don't think today, I've done about 30 miles. I don't think I've really had to touch the actual road, even though I'm riding right next to a road. There's a beautiful cycle path. Minus this big bollard thing, but you know, but I'll take it. Nice, flat, easy day today so far. I am going to start heading uphill in probably like 30, another 30 miles or something. It's not overly hilly, this route. I'm going to be heading into a national park. I'm not even going to try and pronounce any of their names on this trip because I want to offend the French. Would we now? Wow, I can't believe I'm still following this bike lane, this bike route. I'm trying to think if there even is a cycle path in the UK that's this long. It just goes on and on and on. I'm not complaining too much, but I am really sleepy today, so the fact that I'm kind of like grindy uphill, not really steep, just like steady pedal uphill, is making me sleepy. But I've done nearly 50 miles, it's about 3:30, another 3 hours of daylight left. It does feel like I'm getting a little bit out into the countryside a bit more, so hopefully I'm going to be able to find a good camp spot tonight. It says it's going to get down to like at least 0, maybe even -1, so a nice little wooded area to keep the frost off the tent if possible. I'm just gonna keep pedaling and try and not fall asleep on the bike because I'm sleepy. Bonjour. Very, very sleepy. It had been a cold but beautiful day pedaling along these endless gravel bike paths, but all of a sudden I just ended up in a cloud of thick fog and the temperature dropped even further. It's becoming quite hard work. Very, very sleepy. And it's just like this very gentle uphill. It's not steep or anything, but it means that to get every mile you're pedaling. There's no coasting. I'm bonking a bit. I'm gonna have some hot cross buns, some apple and cinnamon hot cross buns. I'm still on UK food until I find a shop, which possibly soon, if not tomorrow. But I think I've got like probably less than 10 miles to where I roughly think I'm going to be able to camp. It looks like there's like lots of woods and like forest tracks and stuff, so fingers crossed I can get there one before it gets dark, and hopefully there's actually somewhere to camp, because probably only got about an hour and a half until it gets dark, but it's still very foggy and I can't see much, so cheers. These are good, these are. Whoa. Well, I haven't quite gone as far as I was planning to, because I think I found a good little camp spot. Trail is back there, but I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, in between, I don't know where, but good little spot here. So misty, it's really, really cold again, but I think this would be a good little spot to set up. Kind of sheltered, it's not windy, it's just, as you can see, incredibly foggy. It's like really nice to like ride on these trails, but when it's foggy it's just like, oh, it's so boring because you can't see anything. The sun did come out for a bit earlier, but what can you do? Currently about 3 degrees I think, and it's meant to get down to around 0 tonight, so I mean we'll see, but let's get this tent set up, let's get warmed up. I think that will do nicely, but oh, it's getting cold. I can tell it's been a while since I've been out in the cold because I'm cold. Right, I'm gonna get in for the long night ahead. Right, that is nice and cozy in here. It's a good spot, ground is really nice. But it is a long old night. I've got another Ginsters, last Ginsters. Probably can't get them in France. And we've got some more hot cross buns. That's pretty much all the food I've got. And so tomorrow I've got to make sure I find somewhere to get some food. And I've only got like half a bottle of water as well. But it'll be fine for tonight, it's fine. It's only like 6:30, maybe 7. I think it's about 6:30. And sunrise isn't till like 7:30, 8 o'clock or something. It's, you know, it's a long old night. So I got myself a little bit of luxury. I bought myself a nice little toy for Christmas, and it's a little emulator Game Boy type thing, and you can play all the old PlayStation games. So I'm gonna play a bit of this tonight, instead of just sitting there sleeping for about 12 hours or just listening to music. Today I'm going to be playing this, and tonight's game is one game that I was often banned from playing when I was a kid. Sorry, Mum. Tekken. Oh yeah. Get the sword, man. Yeah. It is so cold this morning. -1 is what my Garmin's saying, but that's been in my tent with me, so it's probably a bit colder out here. Oh my god, it is not quite as foggy this morning, but it's still a bit foggy. My plan of sleeping in the woods to avoid the frost kind of worked. It was still a bit frosty. It wasn't quite enough woods, but yeah, I've got 190 miles until we get to Paris, so still a few days ahead of us. Just hoping the fog lifts a bit more, the sun starts shining, and can see a few things. But I'm still on this bike trail that I've been on all day yesterday, I should be coming off of it pretty soon. I do need to find somewhere to stock up on some supplies, some food and stuff, but there is a place there, but I'm kind of tempted to just keep going on a bit to the next one because it's just really cold. And I didn't eat everything last night, but I did beat up some people on Tekken. Right, let's go. My hands are cold, my face is cold. I'm gonna start riding in a down jacket this morning, but I'm sure within about 10 minutes I'll be like, this is too hot. Okay, let's keep going. On to Paris we go. Oh. Starting my morning still along the endless freezing cold cycle paths and still in the thick fog, I would detour a little bit off of my route to find some supplies for the rest of the day before heading back on course, just in time for the fog to lift and the sun to shine. Today I would be heading off the endless cycle paths and onto some woodland trails for a change of scenery.
Oh, good news. It's getting a bit warmer. The sun's out. It's 0 degrees now. So yeah, it's still very cold. I am supposed to be along some trails and along these trees. However, I think with all the storms lately, it's just all the trees are basically falling down, so a lot of the trails are just unrideable right now. Shame. So I'm just pedaling my way up this hill, which is nice because I'm trying to just warm up my hands. It's just so cold. I want to stop and just like have something to eat and chill, but like as soon as you stop, it's just too cold. I've done about 15 miles this morning, but it's quite slow going at the moment. But I think within about 10-15 miles, kind of get to the top of this, and it should be a bit more of a downhill, or at least for the rest of the day. But I am hungry. I did manage to stock up on some supplies, but I couldn't stop for too long to eat. Just gonna keep riding, hopefully get back on some nice forest tracks in a minute. This one looks good.
Heading into the forest trails really brought some peace and tranquility to my journey towards Paris. Stopping to take it all in, the forest is always the place I feel some resemblance of peace in a hectic world. But with all these storms lately, some of the trails reminded me of being back home.
Oh, well, it's warmed up a tiny bit now. It's only 4 degrees,
and my hands are starting to feel a bit more alive, and I have finally got onto a nice trail which I'm going to be following for quite a while, around 40 kilometers, whatever that is in miles. That's what the sign said. But I've only done like 27 miles today, and it is already 1:30, so I need to get a move on. I'm stopping, I'm eating a bit, getting some sugar into the legs, because for the next 40 odd kilometers, however many miles that is, I need to try and get these miles out, because, you know, long nights in the tent, never fun, but sweet time. And then this beautiful, beautiful gravel, but again, it's like a gradual climb. So every time you stop pedaling, you just come to a complete stop. No respite. It's not hard, but it's just like a bit grindy. Right, sugar, and onwards towards Paris. I've got about 170 miles until we get to Paris.
Getting back on the endless bike paths for the remainder of today. France really have these countryside cycle routes nailed to a T. And with being back on them, it meant I was confident I would get the miles that I wanted to achieve today done. But just like yesterday, as I pedalled along these trails, I would be thrown into thick, cold fog. I was able to find somewhere to camp tonight just as the sun would start to set, which left me with plenty of time for a little bit more Tekken.
Good morning. It's another foggy, quite cold day, but today's supposed to be, according to the weather, it's probably going to be the warmest day of the trip so far. It might even get to around 9 degrees. We might even get to double figures, who knows? But as you can see, it's a bit foggy. We're still on these beautiful, endless cycle paths. Last night, it was like the most perfect timing. Just as the sun was setting, it was getting a bit dark, it was very cold. Massive woods, so I managed to find somewhere in there to camp. It's one of them woods where everything's wet, the ground's a bit lumpy, so it was a bit of a lumpy night, but I'll take what I can get. I've got 135 miles, 133 miles until we get to Paris. So today, should definitely get it below 100, and then I think tomorrow we'll get as close as possible to Paris. That'll be the day where we just try and get as close as possible, and then before going in nice and early the next day. But who knows, maybe today is really fast, because after I'm going to be slowly, gradually climbing one more time, and then it is pretty much in a downhill direction towards Paris. So we'll see how fast the day goes. We'll see what today brings. I'm really late waking up. It's already 9 o'clock. I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere. I can't see anything anywhere. But this morning, probably about an hour ago, there was a church bell was dinging. I was like, oh, it must be time to wake up. And obviously I went back to bed. Right, let's see what today brings. It looks like some more fog, but glorious, easy to follow psychopaths. England, you are lacking. Let's go.
This morning, I would see my first sign that I was getting closer to the capital of France. today I would be coming off the nice bike paths and heading onto some off-road trails through the French countryside, which was a nice change. However, it did start to remind me of the British countryside pretty soon after leaving them beautiful bike paths.
Feels like I'm at home. Wow, this morning is starting to warm up. It's 6 degrees now. And the sun is actually making a bit of appearance, which is nice because all the fog is sort of lifted now, which means I can see some stuff. Lots of fields. But I've done about 15 miles this morning so far, 120-ish to go until Paris. I'm just starting to make my way uphill gradually, probably for the next 15-20 miles before starting to head down again. But you know, it's generally how I would consider flat, undulating, rolling, steady climbs. But I do have a creaky bottom bracket, so hopefully it won't explode. Would not be the first time, but oh well.
With one creaky bottom bracket, but now off the off-road muddy trails, I would have some nice easy road miles ahead of me. And while it had warmed up a little bit, it was a good time to stop for a bit of lunch. I did have a baguette, but it turns out if I sleep next to bread, every time I wake up, I eat a little bit, leaving me with only the salami for lunch today.
Found all the sludge. It's very, very muddy now and a bit slow going. But I have done, what have I done? I've done about 30 miles. It's currently 1 PM, so I've been making really good progress. And as you can see, the sun is shining. I can actually feel the heat as well, so I feel kind of warm. I haven't taken the gloves off. Well, I did, but then I put them back on because it was getting cold. But so it is just absolutely beautiful out here. These trails, not so much.
Them trails may well have been a mudfest, and a lot of today had been just that, full of mud. However, there must have been something in the air today because I was making great progress and enjoying every single minute of today.
Some things you can get everywhere. Oh, get used to this sun. I shouldn't though, because it probably won't stay. I have got
90 miles until I get to Paris. And I've done about 50 miles a day, 45 miles, something like that. I think about 45. And I don't want to do too many more. It's about 3:30. So I'm going to do probably another 10 miles. In 10 miles, luckily it looks like there's a big woodlands. So hopefully I'm going to be able to camp there. Today has been absolutely glorious. I've just been cycling through beautiful countryside and beautiful like woodlands. I was thinking it's bound to happen that I'll get to here and I'll start cycling and there won't be any woodlands paths where I need to after the distance I get to, but it is looking like there is at least one, and it's perfectly in place for the miles I want to do. So tomorrow, if I can do this final 10 miles today, then I've got 60 miles tomorrow, and then the day after I'll have a short 20 miles into Paris. That's the plan anyway.
Don't think I'm going to have a shortage of places to set up camp tonight. I love it when a plan comes together. Wow, got a perfect end to a perfect day. Today really was one of them days that's just perfect. A few little detours for sure, but nothing major. Lots of fun riding, a little bit different today. Went off of the main bike trail, so it's a little bit different. I've got a perfect camp spot here. Ground is nice and dry. It's really quiet around here. The sun is just setting, and I've got some salami and some baguette. Just letting the tent do a bit of drying out at the moment because the last couple of nights have just been very damp and with all the fog. But what a day. I've got about 80 miles until Paris. So tomorrow, my plan is coming together to try and just get as close to Paris tomorrow so then I can get there nice and early the next day. The plan tomorrow is to try and do about 60 miles. If I can do 60 miles, that leaves me pretty much right on like the outskirts, and there looks to be like lots of woodlands as well there, so that should be a perfect place to camp. Today was just great, and it's just really nice when like everything just, you know, comes together. Finishing in the perfect spot. I couldn't have timed that any better if I tried, and I didn't actually try, kind of. Right, as always though, I'm going to go beat up some people on Tekken. And I'll see you bright and early in the morning. It's not that early really, it's like 8:30 when the sun rises. Bring on the summer. Good morning, good morning. This should be the penultimate day today, and last night was a good night. It was so peaceful, it was so dark, apart from the moonlight, but it was just so quiet. Oh, it was just so good, such a good camp spot. I really didn't want to get up, and it is already 9:10, so setting up a bit late, but I've only got to try and manage to do about 60 miles to get to just outside Paris. So as long as today goes to plan, as long as we don't encounter too many obstacles, we should be getting to Paris tomorrow morning, hopefully. It's a little bit chilly today again, I'm not sure it's going to warm up too much today, but it's not going to be too crazy cold. It's just going to be like 3 or 4 degrees the whole day. So it is what it is. It's not raining. It's not foggy as far as I can tell. But let's go see what today has in store for us. Hopefully, as little as possible, hopefully. Just nice, steady pedalling. I've got a few climbs, but nothing crazy, all short. So it should be all nice and manageable. If I can just find my way out of this woods.
Sometimes when I find these camp spots, I just don't want to leave. And this was one of them this morning.
Oh, don't do that again.
Today though, I was heading out of the tree cover and across the fields, which meant the return of the cold wind accompanied by the muddy trails. Today was a lot tougher and slow going than yesterday, which seems to be the way it always goes when you really want to make that progress.
Wow, today has turned into one of them days I was really not hoping for. It's a grind, it's tough going, everything's slow. I am finally out of the wind now. A bit of shelter from trees surrounding us now, so that's good. But it is taking a lot longer today. I just want another day, like yesterday, perfect day, but I've done about just under 35 miles. I've got about another 25 to go. It is 2:30 and yeah, everything's just very slow going. And anytime I stop, just it gets really cold. So it was a quick stop to eat some food a minute ago, and now we're back on the slow going trails. But I'm glad to be out of that wind, because that was brutal. That was killer. And this fence is broken. Oh my god, right. It's looking like this trail is not too sloppy and wet. So hopefully, may that continue. I'm about 30 miles away from Paris. Paris is literally like just over there, just beyond them trees, and we're very, very close. It's about 5:30 though. I have only done 50 miles, so I'm gonna have to do a bit more tomorrow, but I'll get up a little bit earlier. I don't want to go too far, don't want to get too close to Paris just in case there's nowhere to camp. And especially, I'm just probably at the sweet spot of being just far enough away for it to be nice and quiet tonight. I'm in this nice woods again, so I'm going to camp here. Just 30 miles, guys, 30 miles until we make it to Paris. So all things going well tomorrow, we are going to be making it to Paris tomorrow morning. I'm going to set my alarm a little bit earlier,
I'm not going to set off at 9, I'm going to try and set off maybe as the sun is rising or just a little bit before. But I'm hoping to find somewhere to camp just over there tonight. And as always, I'll see bright and early in the morning today. Today's been quite a tough day. It's been a lot of slog. Just been one slog after another. Lots of very muddy, wet trails. Just a bit slower going today than the previous days, and bitterly cold. Although it's started to warm up now, which is weird because you know it's getting late. But as always, I see bright and early in the morning. For the day, we finally make it to Paris. Today is the day we're going to Paris. It's nice and miserable, rainy and cold. But let's go to Paris. Yeah.
The day that I had been long awaiting, and it wouldn't be as plain sailing as I had hoped with more muddy trails today, but I would finally reach the capital of France. Taking in some of the world famous sights of Paris, even if they do make some of them look a bit bigger than in reality.